All right, let's get right into it. We have all been there. That heart-stopping moment when you put your key in the lock and it just won't turn, or worse, it won't come back out. It's super frustrating, it's stressful, but today we're going to turn that panic into a solid plan.
So there you are, just standing there, jiggling the key, and that cold, sinking feeling just hits you right in the stomach. The key is completely, stubbornly stuck. It feels like your entire day just slammed on the brakes. But before you do anything else, just take a deep breath.
I'm serious. The absolute worst thing you can do right now is try to brute force it out. That's how you snap the key right off in the lock, and believe me, that is a much, much bigger headache. The right approach here is going to save you a whole lot of time, money, and stress.
Okay, we've got a really clear step-by-step game plan here. We'll start with some gentle first aid, then we'll zoom out and look at the bigger picture. After that, we'll figure out if the problem is the key or the lock, know exactly when it's time to call a pro, and finally, how to make sure this never happens again. So let's get started.
First things first, let's try the simplest, most common fixes. These are the easy things you can do right now with stuff you might already have, and you're not going to make things worse.
You know, a lot of the time, the number one reason a key gets stuck is just because the lock is dry or dirty. Now, the trick here is using the right kind of lubricant. You want to look for a graphite or a silicone-based spray. Get that little nozzle right into the keyhole, or even just alongside the key, and give it a good spray. Now, this next part is crucial. Be patient. Just let it sit for, say, 30 seconds to a minute. Let it work its magic deep inside the lock before you gently, and I mean gently, try the key again.
Okay, listen up, because this is a really important expert tip. It is so tempting to just grab that blue and yellow can of WD-40, right? But please, don't do it. See, oil-based sprays are like a magnet for dust and grime. They might seem like a quick fix, but long-term, they'll just gum everything up and make your sticky lock problem way, way worse.
So if the lubricant didn't quite do the trick, it's time for a little finesse. Hold the key by its handle, that part's actually called the bow, and just gently, very gently wiggle it up and down, side to side. While you're doing that, apply just the slightest bit of turning pressure. You're trying to feel for that sweet spot where all the little pins inside line up. But remember the golden rule. If you feel any real resistance, stop. Just stop. A snapped key is not on our to-do list today.
All right, so if those first aid steps didn't work, it's time to zoom out a bit and look at the whole situation. The problem might not actually be inside the lock at all. So what if all the little pins and tumblers inside the lock are totally fine? Well, sometimes the real culprit is the whole system. We're talking the door, the frame, and how they line up. Take a look at your door. Is it sitting perfectly flat in its frame? Try applying a little bit of pressure. You can gently push or pull on the door, or even try lifting the handle just a little bit while you turn the key. This can often relieve pressure on the lock's bolt, especially if you have a wooden door. You know how they swell up and shrink with the weather? Well, a tiny shift in that alignment can be all it takes to free that stuck key. Okay, so you've tried lubricant, you tried wiggling, and you've checked the door. Now let's play detective and figure out where the problem really is. Is it your lock, or is it the key itself? This is probably the easiest diagnostic test in the book. If you were able to get your original key out, take a close look at it. Is it bent at all? Are the edges all worn down and smooth? Now, go grab your spare key. If the spare glides in and turns like a dream, well, congratulations, you found the problem. Your original key is just worn out and needs to be retired. But if the spare key also gets stuck, then you know the issue is almost definitely with the lock mechanism itself. And here is another fantastic pro tip for you. When you go to get a new key made, make sure they copy it from the original pristine key that came with the lock, not a copy of a copy that you've been using for years. Think about it. Every time you copy a key, you're also copying all of its tiny flaws and wear. It's like making a photocopy of a photocopy. It just gets worse every time. So we've tried all the things we can safely do on our own. Now we need to talk about what might be the most important step of all, knowing when to stop and call for backup. This is not admitting defeat. This is making the smart move. So when is it officially time to make that call? Well, if your key is already snapped off in the lock, stop everything you're doing. It's time. If you've tried the lube, the wiggling, checking the alignment, and nothing has worked, it's time. If the lock just feels completely frozen and won't budge at all, or if your spare key also failed the test, don't keep trying to force it. A professional locksmith has the right tools to solve the problem without wrecking your lock or your door.
Awesome. We've dealt with the crisis. But now, let's talk about how to make sure you never, ever have to go through this whole stressful ordeal again. Let's talk about a little future-proofing.
This is your new super simple checklist for a happy lock. Once or twice a year, just give your locks a quick spray with that graphite or silicone lubricant we talked about earlier. If you notice your key is getting a little bent or worn out, replace it right away. Don't wait for it to get stuck. If your doors start sticking, fix that alignment before it becomes a real problem. And always, always be gentle with your keys. You see, at the end of the day, a lock is just a simple machine with small moving parts. It's not some big mystery. A tiny bit of care every now and then can save you from that moment of panic and keep everything working smoothly for years and years. And that really gets you thinking, doesn't it? Taking just a few minutes to lubricate a lock can save you from a major lockout situation. So what other simple 5-minute tasks around your home could you do today that might save you from a much bigger, more expensive problem tomorrow? That's definitely something worth thinking about.